Hey guys, so I hope this audio will sync better because I'm on my big computer, but I wanted to do another heart-to-heart video. I think a lot of changes have gone in my life, and a lot of life experiences have taught me a lot of things, and my life has seriously gone, like, completely turned a lot around. And I wouldn't necessarily say it's a positive or negative thing, it's just very, very different. So I just saw the documentary Blackfish, and if you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It's basically about SeaWorld and how they treat their killer whales. The funny thing is that, like, I know everyone's now hating on Blackfish, hating on SeaWorld because of the documentary. But, you know, if you ask people what they thought about SeaWorld before the documentary came out, I'm sure 99.9% of people thought that, you know, oh, SeaWorld's a great company, the stuff that they do is great, what they do with the animals is great. And it's only until there's a documentary that really reveals what SeaWorld is that people have this negative perception, right? But you actually have to realize it's all like PR. It's all about people's perception of things. It's all about, you know, two sides to the story. Like, I can't say, because I haven't researched this, I'm not a SeaWorld trainer, I'm not anything related to SeaWorld, that what Blackfish says is accurate or what SeaWorld says is accurate. I don't know. But I just thought it's so interesting how that one video makes us think so differently about everything else. And I think that's the case with things in life. You know, SeaWorld has a really great marketing and PR team where they can make these killer whales seem like very, very friendly, approachable animals that kids want to have, like, as a stuffed animal, you know, sleeping next to. And you should definitely not sleep next to a real orca whale. So it kind of got me to thinking our perception of people and thinking that we always try to emulate and try to be like somebody else. And I see that a lot on YouTube. Girls are like, oh my god, I want to be like, you know, this YouTuber, that YouTuber. And like, the YouTuber is usually probably thin, beautiful, and rich and young. You know? And there's nothing wrong with being that. I think it's great that people are that, but I think people kind of look at that and they think that once they reach that thin, beautiful, and rich kind of category that they're going to be happy because that's what it is. And to be honest, I actually think the people who are that have a lot of more problems than very ordinary people. It kind of disturbs me that, you know, these young girls and just people in general are always trying to aspire to be something else, like to aspire to be like somebody else because of what they think that person else will make them happy. Like, only till I become a supermodel or get accepted to this college, or only until I do this or do that will I be happy, you know? And I think being on YouTube, putting myself out here, being, again, as I said, this inherently very superficial and vapid community, I just feel like I feel that all the time, that only if I'm like this or only if I'm like that, only if my channel grows like this, will I be more successful and happier. But to be honest, I was happiest with doing YouTube when I was very small, because it was solely, I just liked to be myself and to not wear makeup and to do things on my webcam and to talk about products that I like, not because anyone sponsored me or whatever. And to still this day, I rarely ever post sponsored materials. I've never advertised you know, a lot of the brands that are on here, simply because that's just not who I am. But I want to tell everyone, or I know I have a lot of younger girls watching this, that those people you see who have seemingly perfect lives, or those people you see who seem to have it all together, who seem perfect to you, sometimes they're the most miserable people in this world, because human beings, we're inherently imperfect, we have flaws, and it's very, very hard to achieve a level of that perfection. You know, when I went to college, I saw some people, and because when you're in college, you have to live on campus and you kind of see people's day-to-day life. You can't really like hide and create this great perception from people. But I saw, you know, these girls who, from far away, from an outsider's perspective, absolutely like stunning girls. Thin, blonde, tan, 4.0 GPAs. Parents were like super, super, super wealthy, like really, really wealthy, you know, dated the hottest frat boys, just like perfect all around, like seemingly absolutely perfect. And sometimes I couldn't get my head around how perfect they were. And of course I was like, oh yeah, like I want to be like them. Like, let me go to the gym more. Let me, you know, study harder. Let me go to party more. And it made me so miserable when I was there, because I just couldn't reach that level of perfection. And what was funny was, because you live with these girls in your dorm, you would see them. It was so sad. They would sometimes come home Friday or Saturday nights drunk off their minds, crying, like just tears bawling. And then you hear them in the bathroom throwing up, you know, either vomiting because they drank too much, or vomiting because they're trying to, you know, lose weight. Whatever the case is, people should not be vomiting that regularly. And you couldn't help but realize that this perception of them, this perception that the whole world thinks they're effing perfect when they're actually really, really miserable people, you know? And I almost felt bad. I almost felt bad. I saw these girls with their like $3,000 school laptop bags and, you know, going to whatever vacation, wherever, and putting the pictures on Facebook and Instagram of their life, but you never see or hear them crying, you know, till late at night and just being so miserable, and maybe taking drugs or like, you know, vomiting or not eating or whatever. Like you don't see that, you know. And then you would see people cheating on their tests, so that way they can keep up with you know, the grades, the GPAs, all that, just because there's so much pressure. And you would look at them and you would think, you know, oh my God, like, let's say her name is Angela. Like, Angela has such a great life. She's like this, and she's like that, and she's like this. But you would see her cheating on her exams and throwing up and, you know, stealing money, or I don't know, to be able to live this lifestyle. And it's not all that it seems to be. And I'm telling you girls this because it's not all that it seems to be. And I don't know if anyone else on YouTube will actually like say this, but it's not. Life is not like that. And I think a lot of girls, they think, you know, if only I were prettier, I would be happy. I think being pretty has its disadvantages all the time. You don't know why people want to be friends with you. You don't know why people want to be with you. You don't know if a guy is dating you because he actually cares about you or because you're pretty, you know? And it creates this very, this kind of emotional instability, where if you have a huge pimple on your face, or, you know, if you get starting wrinkles or whatever, you kind of freak out because people were treating you great before and now they're not treating you great. Or you have a pimple and you feel like people aren't going to treat you well. It causes, I think, a lot of emotional distress. Whereas if you're just average looking, I think, you know, they just treat you the same as everyone else. You don't have to think of anyone's like ulterior motive. I had this one girlfriend, and she was really, really beautiful. She was probably like the most beautiful girlfriend I had. And I just remember whenever we go out, guys would always want to take a picture with us, you know, and guys would never like want to take a picture with I'm just like out by myself, you know, like they're like whatever. But when I was with her, they wanted to, and it was just weird because it was like, they weren't really interested in getting to know her. They just wanted to take a picture of her. Like, she's like this, you know, like statue, like behind the scenes, you know? And yes, she might have gotten more attention from guys, but do you really want to be with guys who only like you because you're pretty, not because of other reasons, right? I think you always want to be with someone who likes you regardless of the way you look. And I don't know. I don't know if she was really happy or if she wasn't. You know, being rich doesn't make you happy. It doesn't. There have been times in my life where I just like, I didn't have that much money, but, you know, whatever. And then there are times where I could go on a trip and not even think about where I was going or how much the plane tickets were. I could just go. And, you know, it kind of gets boring after a while when you don't really have to think or worry about money. It does get kind of boring. You wouldn't think about that, but it gets kind of boring. And then I think rich people create a lot more problems that aren't necessarily there. Because they don't have normal financial problems to worry about. And like being skinny, you know, like skinny and beautiful and all that, it's a lot of work to be there. You know, I don't know if people talk about this, but you see like, you know, these girls on YouTube getting boob jobs and things like that. And like, you have to realize like there can be a lot of complications with it. I was actually reading on Lily Galici's blog, and she was just saying how, so basically Lily Galici is like this girl on Shaw's of Sunset, and she had a boob job done, and I was reading about it, and she said that like she developed, because the boob implants are made out of silicone, and her body developed like a reaction to it or something, and so her like arms were frozen, like she couldn't move them. Because your body is going to reject anything that's foreign, because that's how it kills off like diseases and bacteria. And if you're going to put something like silicone, or I don't know what they have now, saline or gummy implants, I have no idea, but like I know like whatever you put in your body, you have to do a lot to make sure that your body doesn't reject it, you know, and if it does reject it, there could be a lot of complications. And, you know, I think it was like Miss Venezuela, of like 2013 or whatever, she died because of a butt job. She died, you know, and it's just like, you don't hear about that. You see Miss Venezuela walking down the little platform, and you see her so glamorous and happy. You think her life is so great, but there's so much shit that goes on behind the scenes that people don't realize. And the moral of this story is, don't think that your life sucks because of everybody else's, you know, on stage appearance, of their camera appearance, of their YouTube appearance, of their Instagram appearance. You know, don't compare your behind the scenes with someone else's trailer or show reel. We're all going through the same shit, and you know, you might actually be happy with your problems once you realize what other people's problems are, what they go through on a day-to-day basis to keep up with that perception, with that appearance of them. You know, sometimes you'll be thankful that these are the only problems I have, right? And the moral is just kind of be happy with your life. You know, appreciate what you have. Appreciate that you might only be a, 6 out of 10 versus a 9 out of 10. Or appreciate that, you know, you have a roof over your heads and food on the table, but you don't need to worry about someone holding your kid for ransom because you have billions of dollars. You know, like more money and more problems, you know, just anything like too extreme, I think, causes a lot of problems in life. And just be happy with where you're at and what you have. And be appreciative of that. And yeah, I mean, I'm going on a long tangent, but so that is the moral of the story. Be happy with what you have. Be thankful that the problems that you have are the problems that you have. Sometimes I get sad and I get lonely, and I feel like, oh my God, I'm like, not depressed, but just like, you know, in a little slump. And sometimes I think like, you know, I'm actually really happy that those are my problems. I'm really happy that at least I don't have like, you know, someone I care about like on the brink of whatever, or, you know, that I have a roof over my head, that at least I don't ever have to think that I don't have enough food to eat, or, you know, or thinking that like, oh, you know, my family's trying to like take